Hey everyone, Beyond TCG here, bringing you the first episode of my Pokemon Horizon Rising set reveal. So, what is the Pokemon Horizon Rising? Well, this is my own custom designed Pokemon set with over 200 uniquely designed cards. And naturally, you're probably asking, who am I? Well, I'm a Pokemon TCG card player just like the rest of you. I've been playing the card game since Sun and Moon. However, I'm highly aware of pretty much cards from the base game where I collected some as a kid to what happened in Ruby Sapphire, Diamond Pearl, all the way up to what's going on in Sword and Shield now. So I've got a wide idea of what's going on in the current standard as well as in the past. And I want to show the design potential of the Pokemon TCG. I think these days you get a lot of these sets where you just get these vanilla or basically textless Pokemon that just attack, or so many cool ideas that could go further. And in this set, you're going to see I created over the 200 plus cards all by myself to show all the awesome effects that this game could potentially have. So just a disclaimer before going into the cards, I don't take credit or own any of the artwork here. Any of the artwork that you're going to see on these cards is just taken from the internet and it's used to bring the cards to life. There's awesome artists out there and hopefully you can find all them, and all credit is due to them over me. Also, I made these cards at the end of the Sword and Shield Crown Tundra DLC. So if you're looking for any Hisuian forms, or Scarlet and Violet's going to be out within a month of this recording, don't expect them yet. They'll be coming in the future, but these cards were just made at that time, and now is when I'm finally getting it out there. Again, this set is just a passion project. I'm not being sponsored or am I a head designer. This is just my own designs to show you what I think could be a really fun Pokemon trading card game set. And without further ado, let's get into the designs of this set specifically. And one of the first things that we're going to into is the evolutions. So the design rules of each of the Pokemon evolutions. You're going to see that each stage, whether it evolves or doesn't evolve, had a specific design behind it. So starting off with that, we have our basics that don't evolve, like Sudowoodo here. So if they can't evolve, they're going to have kind of okay HP, probably around the 90 to 120 range. And they're going to have some sort of small attack that you can maybe build your deck around, but are generally there to assist your deck. So an example here, Sudowoodo with 100 HP has the colorless double draw 2 cards, just like Sudowoodo in the, I believe, base Sword and Shield set. And then Fighting Colorless Counter, this attack deals 2 times the number of damage dealt to this Pokemon during your opponent's last turn. So again, you're not going to build your deck around the Sudowoodo, but this is something that's kind of nice to have on the bench and come out and support whatever's going on until you get your actual strategy Pokemon set up. Now for basics that can evolve, they have 3 different things that they're going to focus on. First, they're often going to set up the board, so help you get that card advantage to make sure you get your deck going, since oftentimes they might get knocked out and you need to have more backup ready. They'll find ways to protect themselves, so a lot of them, since they want to evolve, they need to survive as long as possible, and they'll have different tricks to make sure that they stay alive as long as possible. Or, as we'll see, they'll evolve quickly. They're not even meant to stay another turn, they just got to get to their evolution as soon as they can. Or, as we'll see in the example of Spinarak here, they'll punish an opponent for knocking them out quickly. So Spinarak here just has 50 HP and a simple Poison Sting attack for darkness that leaves the opposing Pokemon poisoned. But if your opponent goes and knocks it out, its Scary Face ability is going to discard an energy from that Pokemon that knocked it out. So just a good way to punish the opponent for accidentally knocking out your Pokemon too soon. Next, for the Stage 1 Pokemon that cannot evolve, they're going to have some sort of deck build around attack that's worth making a deck for them. They're not going to be as strong as our Stage 2s that we'll talk about in a bit, but they're still good enough to make a deck. So Lantern here is an electric type, 140 HP. For Lightning Colorless, Electrified Water, reveal any number of water Pokemon from your hand. This attack does 40 damage times the number of water Pokemon you revealed this way, then shuffle those revealed cards back into your deck. If you've been playing Sword and Shield since the Chilling Rain set, you're probably used to the Rapid Strike Malamar doing a similar effect, and this kind of pays a nod to that, but it's also interesting because it's an electric Pokemon that wants you to run water cards. For stage 1 Pokemon that can evolve, so aka the ones that are going to try and turn into a stage 2, they're going to usually synergize with whatever their evolution is. They'll either complement the strategy or the stage 2, or sort of like basics, they will also be very good at keeping themselves alive or finding their evolutions. What the Spupa will turn into, look forward to that in the next episode. But we can at least see that it starts with 60 HP. And when you evolve in the Spupa, if it is in your active Pokemon, or if it is your active Pokemon, the opposing Pokemon is now paralyzed. So its attack is nothing to write home about, but if you evolve into it, you paralyze the opponent, you keep them from attacking Spupa, and that buys you enough time to get to that Vivillon. And finally, the Stage 3 Pokemon. Let me tell you, these ones are going to be the most powerful cards that you've seen yet. I know in the current Pokemon competitive environment, Stage 2 Pokemon, they're just too slow and they don't have nearly enough reward. And it's amazing to me that these basic 2 prizers have more HP than the Stage 2 Pokemon. You're going to see a big change from that in this set, where not only will they have HPs that make sense for the amount of work it takes to evolve into them, but they're going to have some attacks and abilities that are going to make you want to build your deck around and win the game with them. Okay, now that we've gone through the design rules for the different evolutions, let's go into the design rules for each of the different Pokemon types. And yes, unlike normal Pokemon TCG where they're just kind of random for what type gets what effect, in fact, discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards seems to be just willy-nilly in any type, this time it is a little more concentrated. So starting off with Grass, Grass cares about evolutions and statuses, pretty similar to what they do in the card game already. For example, Breloom here with 120 HP. For just Grass has Chemical Spore. The opposing Pokemon is now poisoned. If Breloom has an extra energy attached, the opposing Pokemon is now also asleep. If Breloom has 2 extra energy attached, the opposing Pokemon is now confused. If this Pokemon has 3 extra energy attached, the opposing Pokemon is now paralyzed. So this one throws a bunch of statuses on and rewards you for attaching more energy, but you can still just go for the poison with 1 energy. Next up is the Fire type, which cares about energy in the discard pile. So we kind of see this with current Fire types as well, where they often seem to be just like throwing energy in the discard. Turtonator here with 100 HP. For Fire, 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 Grave Flames deals 90 damage. However, it costs fire less for every fire energy in your discard pile. So you could be doing a free 90 damage pretty easily if you get those energy in the discard, which is not too hard. So pretty good a backup attacker for when you need him. For Water, they care about healing and water energy. And what do I mean by water energy? You'll kind of see as we get to that part of the set reveal, but at least for the healing, it should be pretty obvious. Azumarill here has 130 HP and has the ability Healing Liquid. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, heal all damage from this Pokemon. And then for Water Colorless, it has Rejuvenated Slam. Heal 30 damage from this Pokemon, then this attack does 20 damage times the number of damage counters you remove from this Pokemon from healing. So already just through the heal 30 on it, there's a chance that you're going to be doing a decent amount of damage. But if you get that Healing Liquid off and you happen to have a Marill that had a bunch of damage counters, you might be doing even more damage to that attack. So just a fun build around card already. Next up with Lightning, they care about switching, so switching from the bench to the active spot or vice versa, and attaching energy from the hand. So Molga here with 80 HP already has an example of that with Charging Bolt. For a single Lightning, it deals 30 damage, but it deals an additional 50 damage if you attached an energy from your hand to this Pokemon this turn. So just kind of a nice option to get a really strong attack for just a single energy. Up next with Psychic, just like the Pokemon TCG you can think of, they care about damage counters. In our example, Esper here with 70 HP, for single Psychic energy uses the Future Sight attack, put 4 damage counters on one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So, paying nod to the attack, you attack a benched Pokemon that might come out, so it almost feels like Future Sight. You get the gist. Up next with Fighting, and again, keep in mind, Fighting is encompassing rock Pokemon, fighting Pokemon from the video game, and ground Pokemon. They care about Pokemon Tools and Quaking attacks. So the tools you'll see on the fighting, actual fighting in the video game Pokemon, But Quaking attacks, Hippowdon here is a great example of that. With a strong 140 HP, it has Fighting Colorless, Terrible Tremors. This attack does 100 damage already, and then this attack does 20 damage to each of your benched Pokemon. For each of your benched Pokemon that you damage with this attack, it deals 30 more damage. So a little bit of a risk versus reward card. You have to line up your bench, and then you even have to injure them. But for each of them you injure, this attack already gets way stronger. Now for the Darkness Pokemon, they actually care about damaging themselves to get better effects. So Sableye here is a pretty calm one, and a rare case of coin flipping. You'll see that I mostly removed coin flipping except in ways that I think it actually was not super swingy. For just a single Darkness, it uses the Shadow Swipes attack. Put any number of damage counters on this Pokemon that would not knock it out. Then flip a coin equal to the amount of damage counters you place this way. This attack does 30 damage times the number of heads you flip. So this is a really cool one. You can already, just from its base HP, put 6 damage counters on it and then flip a coin 6 times. So you already know you're going to get a pretty decent average attack off of that, and maybe even a higher reward. So just a cool way that it injures itself in order to use a really powerful attack. Up next with Metal, they do what they always do, which is preventing damage, although you'll see they also have a sub-theme that cares about retreat costs. Ferrothorn here is the former with 140 HP, as the strong defense ability. Prevent all effects of damage from opponent's attacks from Pokemon that just came into play during your opponent's turn. So basically, if they go and slam some Pokemon from their hand to the bench, a threatening example could be like Tapu Koko GX that just absorbs all the energy and then is ready to attack. That Tapu Koko GX can't attack Ferrothorn. And then for Metal Colorless as the Draining Vines attack, this attack does 20 damage times the number of energy attached to this Pokemon. Heal damage from this Pokemon equal to the amount of damage dealt. So again, Ferrothorn is just very good at keeping itself alive. And yes, that's right, folks. The Fairy type is back for this set. I like Fairy. I know most people are sad that Fairy is gone. I really don't think Purple needed another type shoved into that color. And I think there's a lot of cool design space as well as cool Pokemon like Impidimp here that really deserve the pink card frame. So in this case, we're going to see that Fairy cares about your prize cards and Trickery. So what is Trickery? Well, Impidimp is a great example here. With 70 HP, it's got another one of those punish the opponent if it's knocked out early. The last trick ability says, when this Pokemon is knocked out, you may look at your opponent's prize cards and choose which prize card, or cards in case Arceus Dialga Palkia uses its GX attack, is taken for knocking out this Pokemon. So just a good way to make sure that your opponent doesn't grab some prize that just really makes them snowball the game. And then for Fairy Colorless, Stealth Swipe deals 30 damage and your opponent discards a random card from their hand. So again, kind of ways that you can think of being trickery and messing with the opponent overall. Next up is the Dragons, and of course the Dragon Pokemon, they're all going to be using 2 different types like they do in the TCG. However, this time I've made sure to spread them evenly, so you're not really going to find any Dragons that share the same type combination so much as maybe if you have a 2-type color deck, you might find out which dragon matches those colors and slip it in. So Zygarde here, for 130 HP, it's got Grass Fighting, Dragon Dance. During your next turn, this Pokemon's attack does 30 more damage, and if you knock out the opposing Pokemon, take an extra prize card. And then it has the Screen Cage attack for Grass Fighting Colorless. It deals 120 damage, but if you did a Dragon Dance last turn, just like in the video game in a sense, you're going to deal 150 and get an extra prize card. So just a really cool Pokemon to set up and attack with. And finally, let's talk about the colorless Pokemon, or normal type Pokemon, sometimes flying in this case. They're going to be using anti-meta abilities and attacks. So basically, I know it's very easy to, just throw a colorless Pokemon in any single deck. And in this case, they're very good against the strategies of the other decks, but they don't really have a strategy of their own. They're just better at preventing things. So Staravia here, as an example, has 100 HP and has the Blow Away ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may discard a Special Energy, Pokemon Tool, or Stadium in play. And then for colorless, Fruit Peck deals 40 damage and draws you a card. So There you have it, folks. That's the example of all the different evolutions and the types and what they're going to specialize specifically. In the next episode, we're going to dive right into some card by card previews, starting with some grass and fire Pokemon. I hope this excited you already because let me tell you, these cards, I guarantee you, are going to blow you away. So looking forward to seeing you in that episode. I've been Beyond TCG, and I'll see you in the next one.